Hey guys, Ben Bellac here, seated next to my main squeeze, Zach Goldsmith. Welcome back to another episode of To Live and Buy in Los Angeles. Today we continue our most popular series, Real Estate Rockstars. We have a very, very special guest. Branden Williams is a born salesman. His database is easily worth over $1 billion and is chock full of clients like Marcus Persson, Dr. Dre, Jennifer Lopez, and Bruce Willis. He has sold some of the world's most notable listings, including 924 Bel Air Road for $94 million, a private estate in Malibu for $110 million, and of course, everyone's favorite, the one for $141 million. And don't correct me, I know it's 126 plus the fees. Branden.
Furniture. By the way, doesn't he have NDAs on these things, or you can't say anything?
They're out the window.
Don't talk during the intro.
Don't talk during the intro.
Sorry.
Branden and wife Rainey, also a guest on this show.
Oh, was she a guest on this show?
Are at the very top of the real estate game in Los Angeles. And sure, at any moment, Kurt, Josh and Matt, Mo and Aaron will put up big numbers. But Branden and Rainey seem to always have the loaded gun. They've created their own brokerage at Beverly Hills Estates, and in maybe their smartest move yet, they've partnered with Jason Summers, who every mega mansion in town runs through, in a creative design firm called Disco Volante. Branden Williams, can I please have a job?
Of course,
No
you guys.
talking during the intro.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, the interruptions.
I can't believe this guy. Let's dive in.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one who they modeled Scarface after, the original Tony Montana, Sir Branden Williams.
He looks displeased.
I'm so excited.
He looks displeased by the
I
intro.
just can't hide it. Want
right.
to give it up. Whoa, 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 whoa.
All right.
I want you, and cut.
Branden, I want to start off with the question all of our listeners want to know. How did you get into mega luxury real estate, and how do you stay there?
How did I get into real estate, or how did I get into the top tier?
How'd you get to the top tier? And you said there because a lot of our core audience are real estate agents, and they all have a level that they're trying to get to. And being that you are at any given moment the top real estate agent in the country.
Okay, that's a bad guy. Whoa,
It's
I'm
true.
reloading.
oh, that's a bad guy. I'm a good guy. That's a bad guy.
If you were to look
Okay.
back, what was the hump for you? Like, what was that property that you got over the hump? And then also, how do you stay there? There's people in this office that have sold a $75 million listing, which you were the listing agent on, and they haven't sold anything close to that since of that size.
Oh,
You
shit,
seem
we
to have
dogging
your
people
foot
now, boy.
on the neck of luxury, and you're still very young. Unlike many of our colleagues who have taken a long time to get that tenure. So, in your mind, how'd you get there and how do you stay there?
Well, I love sales, and you were saying that you waited on me at Spago's.
Had to bring that up on camera, huh?
It doesn't. Well, I'm going to take it one step further because I worked at every restaurant in town, bussing tables. I was the water and coffee guy at the Ivy when I was 17, 18 years old. I was a runner. I was a waiter, and it was some of the best training ever. My father was an out-of-work actor, and for a job, he sold cow hides and sheepskins on the corner. And everybody at the time in the 80s had sheepskins on their car seats. It was the biggest thing. And so
My dad loved those things.
and then everybody loved them. You had to have them on your Mercedes, your BMW, or your Honda. So I also studied method acting. I never wanted to be an actor, but I kind of got into it because it was the thing at the time and everybody was kind of doing it. And my girlfriend had left me for an actor, and I was like, fuck, I got to be an actor. So, and I studied.
I'm thinking that right now. I'm thinking, am I watching? Are you in real estate?
So I got to study. The one good thing that came out of acting was I got to study method acting. And method acting is really just a series of questions to get you to the truth in the fastest amount of time. So, and I found out that being the best waiter is when I ordered for people and said, oh, here's, try this, because it's obvious the most popular things on the menu, especially when they haven't been there. So to me, it's all about speed. to me, it's also about just connecting the dots fast enough. My wife named me the clairvoyant very early on because people would be like, oh, I want a modern house, and I'd sell them a Spanish. I never listened to the client. I just showed them the best stuff and got them there in the fastest amount of time, and just stayed highly competitive and wanted to, like, had this need and hunger to want to be competitive and to want to close these deals and want to work with these really cool people. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, a lot of people, realtors will give me attitude, and I try to stay pretty humble and hungry, and I'll be like, don't forget, okay, you're just a high-paid waiter. In a lot of sense, we're in a customer service business, okay? And we're very fortunate to work with these people. We're not curing cancer. It's not that big of a deal. And I don't think real estate is actually that cool. To be a realtor is that cool. I'm a schlepper. I turn lights on. I clean up dog shit. I take out trash cans. I
does
make
none of
beds.
that, by the way. But
That's not true. And you know I do. And I take my job extremely. And to me, presentation is everything. So I obsess on everything. So I'm still moving trash cans, closing doors, wiping fingerprints off walls. And I just take it, I'm very obsessive when it comes to presentation and showing properties and salesmanship and trying to get to the truth in the fastest amount of time. And I think that's really what propelled me. And I thought when I got into this business, I'd do it for 1 year. I thought I would never sell more than $1 million. And I thought nobody would ever trust me with their biggest asset. And then on the 6th month, I put 6 small deals in escrow, and I was like, maybe I'm good at this. And I also felt always the underdog. I've always felt the underdog. I grew up in the Fairfax district. My last name was Williams. My mother was Jewish. I wasn't considered Jewish. My father was Irish Welsh. So the Jews never really took me in, even though all my friends were, but they wouldn't consider. So I always felt I had learning disabilities, ADD, and I always felt, and I came into this business, I remember the guys at Westside Estate Agency, I was so young when I got into this business. I was 29 years old. I wore a suit, and they would laugh at me. And I thought I never had a shot. I was always the underdog. And so I showed up, and I realized on the 6th month, oh my God, I'm good at this. I put 6 small deals into escrow. And then on the 8th or 9th month, we ran into a celebrity that we didn't even know was a celebrity. It was a European celebrity, and saw him looking at listings. And he told me, I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm looking at listing. I'm like, oh my God, I do real estate. I do in Beverly Hills. He was like, really? And he goes, I'm so devastated. I lost this property because I told my realtor to offer full price. And I go, what property? And he said, it's a property on Kip. I said, oh, the Orange Mediterranean, 7,500 square foot, 20 square foot, 20,000 square foot lot, 7 bedrooms. He goes, how did you know that? I said, I told you, this is what I do. And so I said, you like that property? I have something better. Come with me right now. And the guy literally got up from the table, went with me, and on the 8th month, I did a $5 million deal that changed my entire freaking life. And I go, holy shit, I'm good at this. And then we got hooked up with a guy from Colorado who was in town because his wife wanted to be a producer. And this was on the 1 year of real estate. And his wife, this is what propelled me into big time stuff. And they had been looking all summer in the flats of Beverly Hills for $5 to $7 million, which at the time, you could get one of the best lots for $7 million in the flats of Beverly Hills. We were looking at acre lots for $6-7 million in the flats of Beverly Hills because they only wanted walking districts. And the guy pulled up and he wears cowboy boots, and he had a cool car. And I'm like, oh, you like cars? And back then, this was before Google. You could Google people, and you didn't really know who people were, and proof of funds. None of that really existed. And I go, oh, you like? And the guy literally pulled out his BlackBerry and goes, oh, you like cars? And showed me $30 million worth of cars. These are all my cars. And then I showed him this acre lot for $7 million on Foothill. And I could see him by his face. He was looking around, and I'm like, you're not ever going to get better than this. And I could just tell by his face. And I said, hey, will you just humor me for a second? I want to show you something else. And I showed him a $28 million house. 5 minutes later, up the street, north of Sunset, a big Spanish house with a 20-person garage. Mm-hmm. And his designer was like, you're going to get us, who hooked us up with Rainey. Rainey brought me along. And this designer was like, who the hell is this guy that you're bringing along? And this is really before we were just becoming partners. We were already partners, but he was like, who are you bringing along? And he was like, you're going to get us fired. Are you crazy? You can't show us a $28 million house. And we made the deal for over 20 million on the first. And it was just connecting and speed and just like, and I sized the guy up. He was wearing cowboy. And I was like, where are you from? He's like, oh, I own a ranch in Colorado. So I'm thinking he probably looks at Beverly Hills Flats like this is track homes.
So you saw this guy and you knew, like you learned from your days of waiting tables, that people, no matter who they are in life, are indecisive.
Exactly.
Like people couldn't tell you what they want to order off a menu. There's no way they're going to fucking be able to tell you which property they want.
Bingo.
That's something that you do extremely well. You tell people what they want more than anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they listen.
Yeah, bullseye. Bullseye.
I like it. You said it in 10 seconds.
Concise, right?
It took me an hour.
No, but that's like part of the method acting
Yeah,
is like
yeah.
you are getting to the point quicker and you're figuring out what
Yeah.
people want. So how do you push that on people and not seem pushy? Because you've upsold more people than I've ever seen before. And most people looking for a $10 million house, no one's going to show them a $22 million house. But the way you do it, they come with you like it's a game.
Well, what was so funny is this client, I'm not going to say his name, but he was looking with every big realtor in town the entire summer for a place in the flats of Beverly Hills. And nobody went outside the box. I could size him up. If he's really that wealthy, he owns a large ranch in Colorado. He's wearing cowboy boots. He's a cowboy, and he also likes cool vintage cars. And I'm like thinking, he's looking at the Beverly, and I just showed him an acre lot. And this was my one chance that I'll probably ever see this guy again. And I said, humor me. It was my favorite property. It was the old Spanish. It was the owner of the Beverly Hills Hotel built this house for themselves while they were building. And it was this old, beautiful Spanish. And it had like a 15, 20 car garage. And we went through these 30-foot gates. And I see the guy. We pull up to the motor court. And the guy's boot steps on the ground. And I go, this dude's buying it. As soon as, like, I love, like, this is the art of, just being a realtor will kill me. But I love to, like, be like, I'm right. And I watch his boot step on the ground. I go, he's buying it. And the guy literally walked around for 10 minutes. He said, offer $20 million, all cash. Can you make that deal? And at the time, it was $20 million. You could buy anything you wanted. I go, we have a deal. I knew we had a deal. $20 million, all cash, and we ended up that was the first year of real estate, and I go, oh shit. And it was kind of like that put our name up in lights, and they're like, and the guys at like West Side, because West Side at the time was you don't even know, these guys were so cool, so cocky, so arrogant, and I was this schlub at Normand and Associates, okay, with Rainey, some Italian girl that came from the sticks of Pittsburgh, Staten Island, and they were like, who the hell? And I didn't come from money. I didn't never went to even though I went to Beverly, I lived with a mom in an apartment, and I wasn't like, so it was pretty odd, and that's what drove me to go like, oh, okay, I could do this. And it was that confidence of like going, okay, the next guy, and I never thought I would work with developers, and all of a sudden I started working with Bruce Mikowski and Niall, like all these big developers, and I became that guy, and I still can't believe it. I still scratch myself and go, wow, I'm truly lucky. And, I really try to treat everybody as nice as possible, the new agent to the older. I try to be as humble as possible. And I know, you have a question about, enemies and stuff, but I really try to. I know we're all people. I know we're all insecure. We all want to be liked. We all want to be loved. We all want to feel the love and be successful. So, I celebrate a lot of, and listen, I have a lot of fails. I have a lot of losses, even though I have a lot of wins. But you know what? I'm actually happy for the next guy. And I go, there's a reason you didn't get that. Be happy for them. Be happy for other people's success. And I truly am happy for everybody else's success, even though it's like it kills you, gets you, and you're like, fuck. But you know what? You got to be happy for the next guy, and you got to.
It's wild when you put that out there, even though you got fucking burned. You put out there the best for those people. It comes back.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, karma, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it comes back. How do you, so something interesting that he said is about being cool, because often in this business, and kind of every business has this, you don't want to put out signs. You don't want to fucking, have people sign in and fucking open house. There's so many things that suck. How do you enjoy it? How do you enjoy what you do? I know being right is what you said.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a two-part question. How are you right? How did you size this guy up like no one else can do and put him in this place? How do you do that on a daily basis? And how do you enjoy what you're doing?
Well, I've also been lucky because I found a partner. You know, we made it very fun, and I always say that I would never be in this business. Like, I don't know how you guys do it. I could never do it alone. I could never be like, I know you guys work together, and but me being alone in this business, I'd be dead. Mm-hmm. So I found a partner that I could literally bounce stuff off, and we were kind of team. And I mean, I got motherfucked this weekend so hard by a client, and I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and I hadn't made a big mistake like that in a while, both of us. And we ate it, and it ruined my entire weekend. But at least I could share it with my partner, and we could take it together, and it wasn't just me. So, having that partnership has been extremely important. And the reason I say I'm still in business because we still make it fun. And getting to know Zach, I didn't really know who you are before I was in the business, and I learned, I love you so I consider you a brother, and the more people and the more I've just learned to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, because if it's just up to me, I'm like, fuck that person, fuck that guy, but I'm not really that person. Then you get to know them, like, wait, they're really good people. It's just our initial of being human beings of like, oh, this person, but it's just. Now I have the abundance of there's so many deals in Los Angeles, and we could partner up, we could team up, we could do this. And there's so much work in this business. In this tough market, we need all the help we can get.
Yeah, so I have, speaking of help, so I've been in listing appointments before with other agents that I brought in that were, in your tier, I would say. I've never been in the room with you, not yet. That's sure. That's it. I always tell my team members, if you're saying we have the best marketing, you're losing, because that's what every agent in town says. They're always like, we have the best marketing. It's not even something really the consumer can measure. At your level, I think you would probably agree that you're usually up against the same, probably like 4 names, generally speaking, 4 or 5 names, let's say. So when everyone has all these things on their resume already, how do you kind of make yourself stand out aside from your pinstripe suit and your Vegas sunglasses, et cetera, and your natural charisma?
If I wore these sunglasses, I'd probably get fired on every job. But I don't know. I was in a mode, and I came into the agency because I'm kind of coming into the enemy territory. So I go, shit, I need to put glasses on.
A second ago, you were his brother. Now we're the enemy.
Well, no, but Zach's my brother, and I was trying to get Zach to come to our firm. I mean, I love Zach. Like, Zach and I became very close at Hilton and Highland, and I think he's one of the funniest guys. I tell Zach every day, I go, bro, you fucking missed your calling because you're funnier than Jared Seinfeld. He's so talented.
Jared, you notice he said Jared Seinfeld.
I did say
you're
Jared.
funnier than Jared Seinfeld. That's his cousin. He ain't too funny. You and I both are in the wrong fucking businesses. Even though we're pretty good at this, you are fucking. We'll get to that in a minute.
I want to know what you think. Like, when I at least for me, when I go in for a pitch, like, I know what I'm going to lean into about me, and whether that may be for this client or may not be. What do you think it is for you? Because, like, you're not afraid to make a choice, and that's what makes you. That's part of the reason why I think you're so successful. Is you're like, I am who I am unapologetically, and I've been successful. So you can argue it, but like, look at my resume. But like, when you're up against these people that are also titans.
What are you coming in with that's different? Well, because I, unlike you, am a chameleon, and I adapt to the situation, and that's an advantage for me. But I always envy guys like you who just walk in and like unapologetically yourself. Well, and it's hit or miss, and it's usually hit.
Negative. I don't mean it as a negative.
Not at all. It's a fucking positive.
Listen, I'm a chameleon too, because there's times where I know to be the fucking real estate nerd and buy the book Bobby, and where they and I'm really not. So I have to be a chameleon.
I guess
too,
you are. You're extremely relatable. So I guess you are.
But so I can't just come in but like, when we joke together as the boys, we try to talk shit and one up each other and have a good time and act like we're cool. But like I said, at the end of the day, we're still just want to be liked and want to have friends. But going back to it, I think really for me is connections with people, and really I always talk about the 6th instinct and that's your gut instinct. It's the most. I think it's something that nobody talks about enough, and this is our survival instinct. So I really try to really look at the house, make it about the house, make it about the clients, and how could I be a conduit to get this sale done? And how could I get them to think that I'm going to negotiate and really let them know that in the fastest amount of time, and I will negotiate for them. And I try to figure out the nuances of the houses, tell them the goods and the bads and everything they're up against in the market and be informative. But funny enough, I just got a listing in the flats of Beverly Hills, and he said nobody went into the guest house because everybody goes, no, we don't need to go in the guest house. But I love to look at every floor plans. To me, flow and function are so important. I've always been good at like lot size, bedroom size stuff, and I could remember floors and floor plans and functions and how a family will live and imagine. And I'm very, in terms of that, like I'm very visual and creative that way. And so I just really try to connect with people and try to figure out who the buyer is while I'm in the room and try and like explore the process with them and figure them out and get to know them as people and not just pitch them of like, hey, and then talk about the success of our sales and listen, we've done this and done this around here and try to find commonality. Oh, you know this person? Oh, and try to find, oh, you like cars? Oh, what restaurant? Commonality is the key, and getting to know them and not just being like a robot of just like, here's what I can do for you. And here, it's all about, I mean, listen.
It's relatability,
of
right?
Of course.
It's
and you guys know better than anybody. And it's just relating and being open and ready and saying yes and really striking a chord with them. And like I said, too, I think I have a really big advantage because I have Rainey as my partner. Mm-hmm. And whatever I lack, she could really bring it home, and she's gotten so good, and we've gotten this really great flow of just working off of each other and playing into each other.
You have like a working shorthand between each other, not just in business, but also in the meetings. They say that there's a saying, right? Like jack of all trades, master of none. Mm-hmm. Are you finding it hard to be the lead salesperson while also being the owner of a brokerage, a dad, a husband, the head of a new design firm, running your sales meetings, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, going back to that, I was at Normand and Associates. I started there. I grew up with the sons of Normand, and I love these companies. And
the sons of Normand.
Mikey and Howie.
I was hoping you were going.
Something you got. I grew up with the sons of Normand.
Remind me to tell you something about that.
And the Normands have been tremendous to me, and they taught me a lot, and I love them. And I was at Hilton Highland, but whenever
Myra. You missed that? You're missing Branden, come here.
So,
gotta love Myra.
And then I was at Hilton Highland, but I always thought that I could do it. I thought I could be a better brokerage, like a broker owner company. And I always thought we could have more fun. And I thought we could discuss strategy and salesmanship and connecting the dots faster. I would be sitting in these meetings and I'm just like, this is so ridiculous. I'm talking about title. That's why you have a fucking title rep. Who fucking cares about title? That's what your title rep's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, just
home warranty.
Yeah,
why?
It's just like, and I'm like,
tomorrow,
this is
join the meeting. We've got Stu Kaplan from First American Home Warranty.
Stu Bryant.
Who gives a shit? Who's coming anyway? Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And I wanted to have more fun. I wanted to connect the dots. And I also didn't like the hierarchy of being, and that's why I didn't put my name on the door. That's why we named it the Beverly Hills Estates. We were Williams and Williams. And I really wanted to pump up the brokers. But I find whenever I take on more responsibility, the bigger my life gets. And so, the bigger my life gets and the more doors open. And it was so strange because when we opened up our own firm, we got a few calls and like, congratulations, that's amazing. We want to meet with you. It was like a beshert of like, wow, here's the olive branch to more people going, wow. And soon after, Drew Fenton started his company, Aaron Krumer, like, wow, if Branden can do it, anybody could do it. You know what I'm saying? Which I totally understand. But I was, I love being a coach. I really love to see people win. And I love to just by me owning a house, I've already won the game. Okay. I own a few houses now.
Yeah.
I've developed, and I've kind of been there, done that. So now for me to like really help other people out, and all the guys that work for me all own houses now. My one, Preston, who
I met the owner of his house before he bought it. It was a very interesting cat.
Yeah. And so, exactly. And so I walked in that house. I go, Preston, this is your house. We're going to do anything to take this house down. And, this was a kid that I met at the surf shop, and he worked at Al Merrick, the surf shop, and we became friends. And I was like, you should get into real estate. And Trevor Wright now is buying his second house. And so I'm so proud. And everybody at my firm will tell you, I root for I have people all the time like, oh my God, I door knocked your client. They say they want to sell. I go, perfect, let's do it. I'm not like, that's my client, stay away from him, blah, blah, blah. At this point, it's like anything's a bonus to me, okay? And in this market, and in these day and age, and these times, and like now being a broker, like the last thing, I just don't want to feel like that greedy, well, let me take half of this, and let me get 20%. I didn't want it to feel, I want it to feel like it's an abundance of just like, let's all, and everybody's an equal. I just didn't like the hierarchy. I didn't like the stuffiness. And that's why we didn't put our name on the building. And for me now, it gets me to enjoy more of the things I just want to focus on.
Well, you took a big chance, and you're getting big results from it. That's what I talked about on the last episode of why people would buy in a market where prices haven't really lowered and interest rates have more than doubled. Humanity, evolution causes you to need to take those jumps and those surges. And people who do, well, big begets big, right? Big begets bigger. Like you take that chance, calculated risk, you make that jump and get a bigger house, more doors open, more things happen. You take bigger risks, you get bigger rewards.
Well, already on top, why open a brokerage when you're already on top? I know you know now how much work it is. It's hard for anyone to know going in.
Yeah, it was, well, first, it was a lot of work in the beginning. It was very stressful. And it was, I also thought it would be easier, and I thought more people would come with me, and because I helped get a lot of people to Hilton and Highland. I was responsible for helping bring a lot of people to Hilton and Highland. I don't know if you know this, Zach, but there was guys that I really pushed there, and I did for Jeff. And I never got a thanks. I never got hey, we're going to do this for you or do that. And I was kind of like, okay. So I thought more, and but I went back to, you know what? You're going to start from nothing, and you're going to build be a bricklayer and start from nothing and build your way up. And I feel like it's finally starting to get easier. But I will tell you, when you come in our office, I love the vibe. To me, the vibe is everything. Like, I should have been a club promoter. I should have been a director or producer, because I love setting vibes and teams and putting things together and creating atmospheres.
But that's what you're doing. You're doing that with the Stanley houses. You're doing that with the brokerage. I mean, I find like one of the greatest joys in life is whatever talents we have to bring them in. It's not just pigeonholed to one specific career or way of life. You can bring those influences to everything else in your life.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I go back to method acting, and there's some incredible stories. I don't know if you know how method acting started, but it started at the Moscow Theater of Art. Two Jews, Boleslavsky and Stanislavski, before people were famous, before there was TV, before there was movies, and they wanted to figure out a method, because you would just tell stories to your town. It wasn't about being rich and famous. This was about telling stories. And the Jews are really the best storytellers. And the Jews are the ones that created Hollywood. But going back to...
Oh, he's going to get us in a lot of fucking trouble for
bro,
this.
The Jews are already playing defense around this. And you're making this crazy fucking declaration that we're the best storytellers. Like, we got to keep it, like, real low right now. Trump's coming back for us. Like,
absolutely. And he couldn't be more excited.
Chill with the Jews or anything.
No, but going back
Rainey asked me not to go there. Personally. Rainey.
Hey, stop. No, but going back to that is there was...
Rainey's a nasty woman.
So going back to that, there were so many actors that didn't want to be actors. They wanted to be musicians. They wanted to be race car drivers, but they brought they brought their music, they brought their race car driving, into acting because they thought I'm a huge movie star, but they would show up and they're like, this is fucking lame. I'm playing pretend. Mm-hmm. I'm being told what to do, where to hit my marks, where to hit my lines. I'm basically a carnival dog or whatever the hell you want to call it. And we're looking at going, dude, you're the coolest guy in the world. You got the best job in the world, but these people aren't. Yeah. So all of us, but to bring in all of, like you bring in your comedy and your creativity and to bring in what you guys are doing here. And my favorite saying is, in the creative state of being, there's no such thing as distractions, just the potential for inspiration. So I have to keep moving forward and keep staying inspired and helping others, giving back, doing my own projects, starting my own brokerage. So the more I take on, the more I do, I could kind of also say, been there, done that.
Okay, so, monthly I do recruiting outreach for my own team. Mm-hmm.
Do not solicit him right now.
No,
He's
I'm
happy
not. Actually, if
is.
the agency didn't put me on a show, I'd be soliciting you for an idea that I have. And anyway, we'll talk about that off camera. Monthly, I do recruiting outreach, and no joke, this month there's about 44 or so targeted agents. 2 of them said they had just joined your brokerage, and both of them said, I'm paraphrasing, that one of them was like, Branden was relentless, and another person said Branden kept calling. How do you have time to recruit?
I just I put my eye, I love talent and I love people. And so I asked Zach. I tried to get Zach. I mean, I was like, Zach, you got to come over here. We got to do this.
You won by that not happening.
That's true. I did. So you're right on that, Ben. We got lucky. We dodged
Jesus.
We didn't just dodge a bullet. We dodged a bomb. But anyways.
I was going to say, if your door's still open.
But anyways, I really love people and I love talent. And I'm just like, I always keep myself busy. So when I'm in the car and I driving around and showing, I'm rolling calls. I love the phone. I'm not an email. I never email. I like text, but I love the phone. I love talking.
I guess it's also another opportunity for you to hunt and close because it's now not just clients, it's also agents. What would you think is like the archetype of the agent that you call that you want to be part of your culture at the Beverly Hills Estates?
I like people. I love people that are obsessed. I love people that, are agents because agents are a weird, they're a whole nother weird kind of species type. And most agents were doing something else and they got into real estate. They discovered that, oh my God, I could sell $1 million house and make $30,000. I could sell a $2 million house and make 40, 50, it's a really good business. I mean, look at Billy Rose. He was, at one
everything.
He was at the biggest
firm. He was a DJ, an attorney. He was a UTA. He was an architect or a design at one point.
Yeah, and he came. He was like, "Oh, real estate. This, could pay better, and it's more fun, and I'm not trapped to an office, and I could drive around, and I get to work with all the same people, except finding, their dream home of where they're going to live and raise their family and entertain." So, I love people. And I love, and actually, I had a meeting with Sid Leibowich of Rodeo Realty a while ago, and I actually found him to be one of the coolest guys. And I have a lot of respect for Sid and what he's done. And he's very low-key, very down-to-earth. And he said, you know what? I find the most successful realtors are realtors that have ADD and could put 100 balls in the air. Put 100 balls in the air
and then ask who wants ice cream.
Exactly.
Wait, go back to what we were talking about.
And so
now you're focused.
And so I realized I'm really good at juggling a million things and seeing what, and I look at it as chickens and like eggs, putting them out there and then, giving them a little time each and seeing what hatches.
So you want those people, those recruits who kind of do the same thing. When you're in a meeting with someone and they can't stay focused, hi.
No, I think what I gathered from it was that he's hiring on gut. He's recruiting on gut, at least for now.
His seventh sense.
Yes.
Is there another office location in the works?
Yeah, there is actually.
Or do you want to share it?
We're working on a few other offices right now. We just wanted to kind of get up and running and just get through all the kinks, which it does take about 3 years to get through the kinks. It's pretty crazy. I think we're on 3.5 years now. It's insane how fast time goes. But I just want to, at this point in my life, I just want to have fun. I want to work with the people I want to work with. I want to share. I want to collaborate. I want to work on deals. I need all the help I could get because, as you know, in a tougher market and with, laws like ULA and the more we grow, the more I need to put together the ultimate team. And for me, it's always been, I looked at Goodfellas. That was my favorite movie. They had a crew. You know what I'm saying? Or I looked at films like, Top Gun. They had an army, So that's how I look at it, and that's how I approach it. And I believe, we could, the more we could dominate and conquer, and we're all on the same page. And I think, too, what's made me really successful is not greed, not fighting over dollars. And it's like, okay, great. You and I split it down the pot. And let's keep moving. And I think, I've worked with Zach a lot, and I think he'll tell you too. I'm a very fair guy. I don't care. It's like, let's just get this done and move on.
Well, you make it. You do make it fun. It is enjoyable, and it's inspirational to see and learn and take from the fact that you can have fun doing what you do. It's okay. I sort of grew up with my dad going to the office with a briefcase and a suit and coming home, and I would just jump all over him and he'd be like, "Not now, okay? I just got in." And it'd be like a whole just a serious mode because he was at work. Mm-hmm. And so I grew up thinking you have to go to the office all day, you have to be serious, and it took away from who I was. When I learned, and you're one of the people who inspired me to do this, when I learned that you can enjoy what you're doing, you can enjoy yourself, you get, not only can you get more out of it. Mm-hmm. And that is one of your great talents, that you bring fun, you bring excitement and energy. And I think one of the things that people think is you're on blow all day because you have so much fucking energy. But the fact is,
I think that
you're clean, you're sober, and you have been for years.
Yeah, 18 years sobriety.
Amazing. That's amazing. Congratulations.
And I could tell you, if I wasn't sober, I would have no business. I had nothing coming into this business. I got sober and I got into real estate kind of as my third refresh, and the only way I've been successful is because I wake up clean and sober every morning, and I practice the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. I put it into all my affairs, and I've actually put my business into that. That's kind of the whole model of my business. And the 12th step is you can't keep it if you don't give it back. So, and giving it back is inspiring, making other people feel good and lifting other people up. And my favorite saying is, a star reflects light. That's a true star. So they make other people stars. So I really feel like, and being big personalities like us, because we're both big personalities, but also knowing when to step back and making our clients the real stars and making the house the real stars.
The houses are the stars.
Yeah.
It's funny, I took a long time ago, this is going to be a very, very brief anecdote. I took a commercial acting class with this guy, and he was saying before he became an actor, he was the camera guy in these auditions, and he would always pick, that guy's going to book the job because he was, the best actor. Mm. And what he learned later on, that it was the actors that were making the product the star versus, the best actor. Yeah. Those were the ones that were booking the jobs.
That's a commercial. I feel like that's a commercial.
Right, but
actor versus a movie actor.
Well, he was saying making the house win, because we're in sales.
You're
just
selling the
commercials.
product. You're right. You're selling the product.
But the best actors know how to follow the script and follow the timeline of the script and know the start to finish. And that's really, you wonder why Tom Cruise is one of the best. And I love Tom Cruise. And I loved him when he was going crazy, jumping on couches. I've always just loved Tom. I love, Risky Business is one of my favorite
It's my
movies.
favorite.
It's my favorite movie of all time. I go back to it all the time.
Me too.
Because it's all about capitalism. It's all about sex. And it's this new guy just wanting to make it because his parents are like, Joel.
Sometimes you got to just say, what the fuck?
It's the best.
By the way, he is arguably the most consistent actor of all time, with probably the least amount of bombs of any actor in history. 95% of his films are hits.
Yeah. He comes in so hot. He's so committed every time. It doesn't matter. He's so. I just love him. Like, I just watched Rain
That's
Man
you.
again, and I think, and he operates, and people tell me too. You know, you helped me with that little bit I did on The Offer, and
I have that here. I was
Yeah.
like, most actors a lot of realtors that were actors, they quit. But meanwhile, you found your way on The Offer, which is, of course, about the making The Godfather. Zach, at least it was published too, and I remember you were helping him.
Yeah.
I asked him to golf with me one day. He's like, "No, I got to run lines with Branden." I was like, "Wait, what do you mean you have to run lines? Like, did I hear you correct
Yeah.
on the phone?" And then you were in it,
Yeah.
not just like kind of in it.
Yeah.
How
I'll
does
tell
that
you
happen?
a quick story about that, though, because Branden called me, and he's like, "Here's this opportunity. I need you to come over and help me create this character." So I come over to his place, which is like
For the people listening, when was this?
2 years ago.
2 years
like
ago.
a year and a half ago.
Yeah, a year and a half ago. And you go to Branden's place, and it's like you walked into Tony Montana's place. I mean, he's got everything set up short of the blow, but he's got the guns, he's got the swords, he's got the fucking, he's got the horns. He's got walls made of gold. So we sit in the place, and I'm like, first of all, just set up the camera in this background, and you got an advantage. But you wanted to help create this character, and really, I was just there as a sounding board because from the moment you picked up the page, you embodied the character. You took on the role of Gianni Ribisi, not Giovanni Ribisi, Johnny Russo.
Yeah.
He played Giovanni Ribisi. Johnny Russo, you took it on, and I'm listening to this. You're showing me tapes of this guy, and you're like, wait, should we do it this way, that way? And I'm like, you are this guy. You realize that your commitment to being this guy makes you this guy.
Of course.
And I knew from like when we press play, and most people in front of the camera freeze up in a different way. I've never seen anything like it. The camera turns on and you exploded and you went nuts and you scared me a few times. I was like, is there a fucking gun handy? Because I'm fucking frightened. And you just sold the shit out of it because of your commitment and your energy like Tom Cruise does.
Yeah.
And I think that's how you go into appointments. That's how you go into showings. I've never seen you walk into a showing calm and relaxed. I see you respectful, and then I see you turn it on, and the clients are like, go from like, who the fuck is this guy? Get him out of my face to, can you bring that guy back here? I want him in my life forever.
Well, first of all, if you really remember, when we first started, it was like kind of painful, but we worked it together. And I knew what I've learned is I need all the help I could get, okay? And I'm not scared to ask for it. And I saw this, and I'm like, shit, who could help me with this? And Zach came to mind. Zach's an actor. He's a writer. He's a comedian. I go, Zach, I need your help. Come. Let's have fun. Please, I begged him. He's like, bro, I'm in the middle of doing 3 deals right now. I'm on fucking fire. Like, are you fucking serious? What the fuck is this? I'm like, it's for Paramount. It's making the God. Please, what? I will do anything. I'll basically pull it out and I'll do anything. Okay? And he
I
was
said, 2 nights with Rainey.
and so,
He said, sold! Fuck yeah.
so he ends up coming over. We just keep working it, and we worked it really hard. We kept going over, and then I'm like, fine, fuck it, turn on the camera. And it's scary because you also have your, comrade.
Yep.
That's like, dude, acting's not, it's a whole. And listen, I'm not claiming to be a good actor because I'm really not, but and I'm just like, Zach, roll it. And we only did 2 takes of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, send it in. But we worked it before. And we really worked it and honed it. And it was really raw, but we got it. But that's like the blessing of, and then I worked with Miles Teller's and I didn't even know who Miles Teller is. I don't go to the movies. And supposedly he's the new hottest young actor, and the guy thinks he's like Tom Cruise because he just got off Top Gun, which I didn't know about either. And the guy kind of, to be honest with you, he steamrolled me. He's like, I'm not letting this guy just show up and like steal my scene and do that. And I was like, who the fuck? Oh my God. Thank God I'm not doing this anymore. Thank God I'm in real estate. Fuck. I have an appointment in 3 hours. Because I'm not getting paid. I mean, listen, until you're a big star, you just get, it's no way to make a living. And so it was great. And to me, it's all about facing your fears. And like, I was even thinking that day, And then they showed me some other scenes, and they made me out to be this bad guy, Gianni Rusta, like he beat Tanya Shire, and I'm like, what did I sign up for?
He was a bad guy. That was a bad. He
didn't really do that.
Nasty character.
He didn't really do that. It's not true. Coppola
was a Coppola thing.
Coppola told him, he said, you're being too nice to my sister. You're this bad guy. You're a woman beater. You got Sonny killed. The brother. You're like a pivotal part of this guy that fucks this whole thing up, right? And so Johnny Russo was like, okay, so you want me to hit her harder with the belt? Like, is that what you... And he did that, but they made him out to be, because it's Hollywood.
Right.
And I talked to him. He's like, I wanted to be an actor. You think I'm going to piss off the biggest director in
He did. He was a sweet guy, and you look at those interviews.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Sonny, James Caan, really beat the shit out of him in that scene?
Yeah, Sonny really like broke his
like
arm.
All of a sudden we're at Dantana's.
We'll have hours, but at least let me just ask you this about fear, because you talk about facing fear. I think one of your star qualities, which makes you Branden Williams, is at least seemingly you don't give a fuck about anything. Now, I don't mean that in a bad way, because you're a respectful person, you're a caring person, you have empathy, you're a father, all those things. While most of us are held back by fear, which is what goes back to your I call people always on the phone. Half of us don't call and email because it's easier to deal with. We don't have to face the fear of rejection or whatever it is. You're very good at that. You'll call people, get rejected. Who cares?
A question's coming, and I'm going to give it 2 more minutes. The question will arrive.
Okay.
It's about your role in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The question really is in the answer. You'll see in a moment. Do you have fear? Are you fearless? What gives you that I don't give a shit edge about you that makes people respect you so much? Because only when people are intoxicated does that kind of level of fear come down a little, the inhibitions come down, and then you find yourself much stronger. You are clean, sober, and you don't need any of that, and you have that.
Well, my favorite saying is everything you want is on the other side of fear. So I'm extremely fearful.
You have a lot of favorite sayings, by the way.
I live by little small sayings. Like my other favorite saying is emotions are like the weather, they will pass. Because I'm extremely fearful. And, I grew up where rent was every month was a big deal, and it was a fight. And so I still have that like, oh shit. And I have that. I think my biggest fear is to fail and to be a failure. And, so, I have a lot of insecurities. I have a lot of fear, but I use that to propel me forward. And I was watching Andrew Tate, because sometimes, I scroll through, and as much as people want to hate him, I think he also has a lot of great things to say. And he was like, listen, I stay moving forward. Momentum and speed is everything. A plane can't fly unless it's not. So if you're just constantly moving forward and just doing it and not living in your head and thinking it, because living on our head to me is the biggest self-sabotage. So I just learned to just like, if you're going to do it, just do it.
It's mainly why we're so successful when we are doing so many things at once. You're like, how can I take anything else on? Well, watch how much more successful you are the more you take on, rather than sitting on the couch doing nothing.
Well, Rainey,
that's when fear has time to say.
And Rainey has the best thing. Like, if you want something to get done, give it to a busy person, or like, or, I don't know, there's a saying that she says, which is really, because a lot of times people go, you're too busy. But listen, your time it's all a balancing act, and nothing's perfect. There's days where I'm like, I'm a failure, I'm a loser. There's plenty of days where I wake up, but I'm like, okay, get into motion. What are you going to do today? Who are you going to call? And you just get out of bed and you go. I mean, there's so many days where I don't want to get out of bed. I mean, I could say that, I could easily go to the doctor and be like, I have depression or something, and he could put me on Prozac, but I'm not gonna do it. They try to put me on Ritalin my whole life. They try to put me on everything, just because, I was the last person to learn how to tie my shoes in kindergarten.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
But you know what though? Now I'm proud. Like I'm not scared to admit that anymore. To give people hope to like, great. I truly thought when I got into real estate, I'd never sell anything over $1 million, which in this city, $1 million is not a lot of money. But at the time, it was a lot of money to me. When I got into this business, and I swear to God, I didn't know what a mortgage was. I saw my friend
I'd be surprised if you still know what it is. Guy pays all cash for all his fucking properties over here.
Wait, Branden, so just turning back to the market here as we wrap up, what do you see for Q4 of this year and Q1 of next year? Where do you see the market going?
This will be great because it's not a prediction based on any stats we've seen. It's going to be a prediction on how he sells things and how he sees the world.
I'm just, I get so bummed out right now because we had such, like the last, since I got started in real estate, which was in 05, 06, it was the greatest real estate run of all time. Really. It was it never ended. Even in the crash
The Big Short
of 08 and 09, it got back in because interest rates were low. And then COVID was like, and then it just got, and now we're dealing with higher interest rates, a much slower economy, and I'm going to blame some people for it, but I'm not going to get into it. We're also dealing with the best city in the world, Los Angeles. We're the content capital of the world. We're the entertainment capital of the world. This is where dreams come to be made true. We have the best weather in the world, but now we have this ULA tax, which is the scariest thing to me. I mean, now people don't even want to sell their homes. They're like, what? I'm going to my $5 million house, it's 4.5%, but it's really the extra half. It's a 5% extra tax. So now you're paying 11%, and then you got to pay taxes, and then you got to pay your real taxes. It's scary. So hopefully this gets overturned. The Fed keeps raising rates. I mean, I don't see the Fed. I mean, I feel like they're trying to implode this economy. I mean, I really do. But you know what? That also excites me. Because that makes me go, work harder, work smarter, dig deep. You're good in bad markets. Like, this is when you shine. You're on the corner selling sheepskins. What do you got? So it's that.
I told you that's where do you see the market going? It's just going to be his perspective on life, which is the best way to live.
And
instead of being beholden to what other people put in front of you or circumstances.
I'm willing. If, let's say, the real estate market crashes and which it's not, because if you look at the history of real estate, and we're living in the best weather in the world, we're living also in one of the most opportunity. I mean, I just wish that crime, right now, I tell people I'm from LA and they go, oh, I'm sorry, which kills me because I'm an LA native and I love this city. It's the great. I used to go to Europe and I used to go all around the world and tell people I'm from LA and they're like, oh my God.
We've talked a lot about this.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, I'm sorry. And it kills me. So you know what? We have a responsibility to fight these bad policies, to, bring this city back up. And really, it's our time now because and I feel so many times I feel like responsible for keeping the real estate market up, and call me an egomaniac, but like that's the responsibility I have to take on.
No, that's your mentality through life, and I think that's what gets you where you are. You're not beholden to any circumstances that life puts in front of you. You're creating your own path.
And I'm willing to, and I really am willing, like I said, if they were really like, you're going to go back to digging ditches, or I've done everything, construction, and I'm like, fine, fuck it. There's no ego. It's like you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it done. And like I said, I still clean shit when I see shit in the backyard. I'll find where the poopers go. I'm cleaning this shit up. Like, I'm not gonna have somebody step on shit in the backyard when I'm showing a house. Talk about ruining the showing.
Who's shitting in your listings? Most of them are vacant, fucking mega, like 8,000. No one's living there. Wait, so I want to ask you two quick questions here. What do you say to the veteran agents right now who are struggling to get deals across the finish line that maybe don't have the same type of vigor and enthusiasm that comes so naturally to you, and to the younger, hungry real estate agents?
Well, I also look up to a lot of agents. I look up to everybody. I can learn from everybody. Okay, the new agent. There's something. There's always something to learn in this business. There's always something to take on. And my favorite saying is, good poets borrow, great poets steal. So I have no problem stealing your shit the next day. You know what I'm saying? And that's Robin Williams.
I'd be honored.
Exactly. So vice versa. So I would just say right now, and this is what Chris Cortazzo said, take whatever you can get. If you're a real seller, take whatever you can get right now. Are you a real seller? because the market is tough. You're lucky to get an offer right now. And to be brutally honest with these clients. Otherwise, you're not a real seller.
Branden Williams, I'll call you back.
Tell him I said hello.
And he says he loves you.
I've never seen
Drew Fenton. That's good timing.
So he's saying this because we've always had like a thing. But you know what? I love Drew. I respect him.
You respect each other.
Yeah, and he's also pushed me. Like, I've had these guys in my career that have been pivotal to pushing me to want to be the best. And so, listen, I love Drew, and I respect what he's done with his company and who he is. Different styles, but, there's a piece for everybody in this. This town is so big. There's so much business out wherever we are. And that's the one best thing about being a realtor. As long as we're good at getting ourselves in the middle of these deals and being a conduit and making both parties feel like they're getting a fair deal and helping out, because that's really all we are. And of course coming up with solutions and problem solving.
and getting out of the way.
Yeah.
What do you think the brand new agents should be doing in this market?
Finding a new job, getting into tech,
I'm so happy
Video games.
you were bold enough to tell the truth because it's so tough.
yeah.
It's so tough.
Getting into video games, tech, porn. What else? What else is a great industry? Oil, gas, war. There's so many more easier ways to
war. Get into
make
the
money.
war business, kid.
I wish my mom never said any. Realistically, my mom. Back when I was growing up, I'm 48 years old. It was like doctor or lawyer, and I wasn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer.
Were you raised in an Asian family?
And so
that's all they hope for.
This business is tough. And what we have to deal with and go through, and now with everything, just with the banks and the rates.
All the obstacles. Or the friction.
And then the 20 inspectors that will, at any given second, will fuck a deal up, and you're like, what do you? It's just a small water leak. It's in where they house the water. Of course it perspires, and of course we're out.
Let me tell you
Black
what you're
mold.
missing. What you're missing doing a deal with Branden Williams is being with him during inspections. It is so fun. Annette Rubin used to do what you do. It'd be like, who the fuck are you? Where are you qualified to tell me that fucking chimney deserves to be taken down? That was built by Americans.
And then Rubin, the citizen?
Yeah. And
I can't believe you're talking about a citizen on this, not even another agent.
She's a secret agent. That's what she would love to
but
be.
You know what? You know how many times
I don't want to talk
But he
about
will
her.
forget her. It'll be the chimney inspector will say, "This house, don't buy this house because of the chimney," and Branden will light him up. These bricks were laid by American workers. Concrete things were never built this way before. And at the end of it, the buyer's
Stamp of approval.
Okay, we'll take the house.
No, well, listen, most of these inspectors are just failed contractors, or it's an opinion. So okay, I'm going to get another opinion. There was a deal that I did, and they said the whole housing, there was like a 4-person fireplace in the middle of it was the old Metro Goldwyn house that I sold for Ron Burkle. It was a beautiful estate. It was the best deal ever, like $6.5 million. I ended up selling it to the Casa Perfecta guys that do the furniture company, and it's the coolest house. And I was so excited to put them in there because I leased them the old Elvis Presley estate, and I love what they do, and I love their furniture. And I felt like I was the one kind of, because I ran into them. I'm like, you got to see this house. This is your next. And I put this whole deal together. They have a fireplace guy. And he said the entire 4-person, 4 different fire flutes. The thing was literally this big, as big as this whole room right here. In the middle of the house, they go, the entire thing's cracked. Not only is it $250,000, but just the work and the time to get this done. Oh, forget the money. It's doing the whole house. It's dust and shit. And
That's not your position to comment on that.
And I'm literally like, first of all, I know my client, and he would never buy a house or not fix something. I go, I'm getting my own fireplace guy out here. Okay. And I'm going to say his name right now. I'm going to give the biggest shout out to this guy, Ralph from Ye Old Chimneys. You know who Ralph is. He comes in the top hat. Ralph brings out the camera. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, I see 0 cracks. Where is it? And the other brokers, baffled, they're going, where is he not? Is he showing me a fake camera in a fight? There was no crack. We were like, buddy, yes, these people lie. Yes, they try to get jobs. Yes, there are some major fireplace killers. Shane Ambrosia, who's the guy from La Roca? I've banned
John.
John LeBaron.
Is it? No.
You're thinking John Mattoon?
No, John LeBaron.
No, that's
He's a
mold
guy.
That's mold. Yeah, is it John LeBaron?
Yeah, I think it's
No, it's John.
Yeah.
But
It's one of
the
those,
point is,
yeah.
there are
I've
guys
banned
in
these
all
guys.
sorts of fields
Yeah.
of inspections that try and kill deals. They're alarmists. They're fucking pussies. They're scared of everything, so they're putting
Guys,
that onto other
the
people.
city-
So what happens is then the buyers are like, oh, whoa, there's
I
a
don't wanna
mold
get it-
issue.
I don't want a
Guess what?
project.
You own a fucking house. You're going to
Yeah.
have shit all along, but you're going to have the benefit of appreciation and growing and putting money into something that's going to be the biggest return you've ever had.
And by
Guys,
the way,
the city takes fire in the house really seriously. I feel like maybe you guys.
guys,
it's not just fire. It's
how many
everything. It's
how many
mold,
houses?
It's roof. It's pool.
How many houses have you seen that you've gone around like, oh, they had a faulty fireplace, their whole house burnt? When have you? It's like, first of all, I'm all about disclosing what's real, but there are so many alarmists and there's so many deal breakers in this business that I've had to ban people. I've banned appraisers. And I'm like, buddy, you ain't coming to my house anymore. You're done.
He does. I've tried to use people. He's been like, not bringing that guy in. I was like, it's not your choice. He goes, watch if I let him in the door. But there's agents like that too that stand in the way of the fucking deal.
All right, so Zach, as we're approaching an hour and 15 minutes here, do you have anything else for Brandon? I got to ask Mike the questions I really wanted to ask
the
him.
start of the second hour, what I really want to cover, I do want to cover one thing that we talked about: listings. One of my favorite things in this business is doing a showing with you. Okay, like you kind of got me in the mode of having this house set up for you. So now I have the house set up for me. So I don't turn on every light, open every window. I have someone do all that and put on the show, and then or set up the show, and then we come in as the entertainers.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you inspire me to have fun doing it, find the story, and find the connection.
But will you find the question?
I think it comes out of what comes out of the story.
Question. We can't cut it.
We don't need to cut it.
No. I mean, if we want to cut it into a reel and he gives some magical answer, how are we going to do it if you ask him a 2-minute question?
I'm very good at cutting these things. Step back. Let me cut the guest episodes.
Fine.
So if I could find a question in it, give us your method and how you connect and what you go in, what your mindset is. When I am showing a property of yours to my client, you get there 5 minutes after we start, and like the main act comes. The opening act is there, and now you come in as the main act. What are you thinking in your mind?
Well, I immediately, when I meet the people, I size them up, and I really look at it. I'm like, are these real buyers? And listen, I'm wrong all the time. Okay?
So you recommend this?
Yeah. So, but I still am sizing them. And then I take their temperature, like a doctor. Like, do they like
Rectally?
everywhere? I love every orifice. So, and then I take their temperature and I see how they are. There's some people who say, hey, stop, I don't need this shit. I don't. And it's like, okay. And then I kind of let them, and then I warm them into it and then try to persuade them and turn them. But I love to put on a show, and the house is the star. And I love to really enhance the great elements of the house. Mm-hmm. So if it's the backyard, I take them straight out to the backyard. I don't bore them with the house. I'm like, how amazing is this backyard? Isn't this is where your kids are going to live. This is where you get all your sun. Look at the sunlight. Look at how big this backyard is. Maybe it's not that big, but look at how beautiful. Look at the landscaping. And I try to make them see the beauty of what I see. And then I bring them in. I try to find a flow for the house, because I think every house has a code and the proper way to show it. And I've done 300 showings and showed it wrong for 299 times. And then I show it the wrong. I try something different, and that's the right code.
Randy said that too. But you really do put on a show, and it's like back to your days of waiting tables. You're not waiting for them to make a decision of what house they're going to buy or what room they're going to look at next. You're like, someone walks in, you're like, check this out. You got to see the fucking kitchen. Have you ever seen a kitchen that opens this way with the kind of light this brings in? This is where you have dinner parties. This is where your famous friends. And by the end of it, they're like, fuck, I want this. Yes, this is it. This is our house.
Well, I love that. And I love, I love that you say that, and I could be passionate about certain things and get really passionate. But let's be honest, guys. 99% of these showings are just looky-loos. That's it.
Well, I think in our town, we're definitely a touristy town.
Yeah.
And a lot of your big
time.
listings, people are just calling to look.
Yeah, just come.
That's why you're sizing up. You're kind of forced to, because you're like, it took us 45 minutes to turn the house on.
And like I said, 99% of these are not your buyers. So have fun with them. Give them something to remember.
You certainly do.
Make them go, oh my God, that was the best. This is what I would imagine coming to this. And whatever it is, getting them to know them. And you know what? I love bigging people up. I love making people feel good. And so making them feel like the stars and this, and they just got to see this and they're like, wow, this is what I would imagine if I was to see a really cool house in Beverly Hills.
Awesome.
You know?
It's so fucking inspiring. You inspire me to bring bigger to what I do. And you inspire me to laugh at myself. I think I started laughing at myself when you laugh, like you say something and laugh at it. I start doing that and people are like, you can't laugh at yourself. I'm like, fuck yeah, I can. Branden does. And now people buy it. But I'm so inspired by you. I think a lot of people are. You have this crazy energy and optimism and excitement for life. Kind of like Mauricio. You're very, like, your glass runneth over. And it's inspiring. It's infectious. People want to be around you. And I think that's how you even make looky-loos buy when they're like, I wasn't even here to buy a house, but fuck it, I'm in. It's an amazing quality. I think people can learn a lot from you, even though people are different, because you've got your disciples who start dressing like you, who start to look like you and act like you. I think it's like what you and I do. It's more of being a chameleon. Take the good. There are things, we're not you. We'll never be you. There's stuff we can take, that energy level, that excitement, bring it to your daily life, and life will be better for you. Business and life will be better. I appreciate you very much.
Well, I can't wait to do a deal with you guys. You guys inspire me. You know, instantly when I hear you guys are doing a show, I get jealous. I'm like, fuck, I want to be on that show. These guys, what are these guys doing I'm not doing? I'm dead serious. And I'm like, fuck, I got to be on this show. And that's really, you know, it's like, I just want to be a part. I want to be involved. And I love what you guys are doing. You guys are inspiring. You guys are helping other people out. And it's like when you start living in that world of just doing and you know, I'm sure there's times where you're like, what are we doing? And every day I question that, what am I doing with my life? And then all of a sudden the light goes off or something happens or you help somebody or a deal connects or a relationship connects. I mean, that's really what life's about, because we're not going to be able to take any of this shit with us when we leave, okay? How do we make people feel? How did we how did we leave them? And how did we inspire? And that's really, I think, that's what I want to be. I want people to be at my funeral and be like, you know what, I had a lot of fun with this guy. And that's what I think of, I try to live every day as if it's my last.
You're like a young Maya Angelou over here. So, she always said it's not what people say that you'll remember. It's not what they do that will be remembered by. It's how they made you feel. Are you doing a Maya Angelou impression?
Yeah, it's
by the way, he looks like a young Larry Ellison. Look at him. You look like you could fly to your tennis tournament in Indian Wells.
Brandon's definitely your target demo. He loves your jokes. I can see it when you're impersonating him. He was
it's more that it's more that we vibe. Like anyone I vibe with gets it. We get each other. I laugh at him maybe more than he laughs at me.
Oh my God, Zach at the Christmas party. Some people are like, "Oh my God,
I loved it."
Oh,
by the way, I never was at Hilton Island, and it's like from 3 years ago. Yeah. I show it to anyone I can. And this guy doesn't know technology, so it's like across 3 different posts. I'm like, wait, there's more. It's so good.
Well, I wanted to hear Brandon's take on it.
There's some people there's some people that they're like, no, you cannot, because you would roast people. I mean, you would literally roast
to Hamilton.
But it was amazing. It was so much fun, and that's where I really got to. And I would laugh because laughter, I think, is the great. It's like when you're laughing, you're not thinking about anything else. It takes you out of yourself. And I mean, if you really think about what we had, we had the greatest real estate run. We were at this company where it was Rick Hilton and Jeff. It was like this whole.
Drew,
it was
Linda,
basically
Jonah,
like the.
Brett, so many.
It was
heavy
like the
hitters.
dynasty of real estate. It was like
Bjorn, yeah.
It was like the dynasty of real estate.
It was,
and it was this hierarchy, and we were these. It was just so, and we had such a good time, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah. We had a great run, and now we're doing something different, running this way too.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I want to end on one story here because it shows like what you bring to the table, which is an element of fucking lunacy. Okay, we're showing a $40 million house on Devlin. Okay, my client is this super stuffy single New York guy who comes out here and I'm not even sure what, but I love him, by the way. Remember him with the clipboard all the time?
Yeah, of course.
And he saw it for the second time. The house is set up. It's at night. It looks beautiful. Brandon's guys are running it. And then Brandon shows up. And I'm like, oh, fuck. This is going to be hit or miss right now. Because my guy is so eccentric and so straight-laced. and you did a great job of sizing him up. But then when you got comfortable, you fucking laid in. And you went crazy, and you're like, look at this fucking wall. Look how the marble comes together perfectly like the center of the vagina, right in the fucking middle. And my guy's like, okay, all right. and like freaked him out. And by the end, he's like, he was quite an entertaining fellow. I wouldn't mind him around more.
The best. I'm going to end the best story. Okay. So I'm trying to sell LeBron James a lot, okay? So I'm like, so the guy's like, I don't want to sell anymore. Tell him it's not available. And they're like, LeBron wants to come back today at this time. And I'm like, I just got to get this guy an offer. Maybe he'll see the light and want to sell. So I basically know how to get into the lot without getting. So I roll up with LeBron James in like 4 carloads of all his homies, okay?
And you do not have permission to show this house.
And we do not have permission to show this house. And we roll up, okay? And and they roll up to the end of the lot, and it's this huge lot in Beverly Hills. And I swear to God, all of a sudden a police helicopter rolls over and then just starts circling. And I'm like, holy shit, am I screwed on this one? I'm like, gee, and they're literally circling 10 times. Like we're doing like a crazy drug deal or something, who knows? And I'm like, it was so funny that you brought up these police helicopter stories. But yeah, like it's good times. You only live once and you got to have a good time. And that's probably doesn't put me in the best light, but I was doing that for you because I always have to one up you, Zach. And you're probably one of the funniest guys I knew. So I said, what would Zach not do at this point? Okay, I'll do it.
I definitely wouldn't. Well, I also wouldn't break into the Playboy Mansion in high school, but you did that. So Branden Williams, everyone. He broke into the Playboy Mansion.
Well, thank you guys. Keep inspiring. You guys are killing it. And to our next deal. And Zach and I did a great deal this year. $23 million Alpine. That was a fun deal.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. You sounded like Rick Hilton at the end there. We did a really fun deal. We have great furniture in our office too.
Guys, I think if I don't stop them, this could go until midnight. We will be mooning the Beverly Hills Police Department as soon as the cameras come off. Guys, thank you for tuning in for another information-packed episode of To Live and Buy in Los Angeles with icon Branden Williams. You can find him on Instagram at Williams & Williams, and of course the Beverly Hills Estates. I am at Ben Bellack, seated next to at Zach Goldsmith 24.
He's going to be our new partner, by the way. I think we're getting a third. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap. Super bien, super bien. Super bien. Say it.
Súper bien.
Súper bien, man.